Here we are in Grummanbyen, Svalbard, which is a Norwegian territory, right above the Arctic Circle, just a stone's throw from the North Pole. We're at a quarry, and this is Alicia. She is a Scania R series, Highline. I think she's a 730 in this one, although the badge has been taken off and not been put back on. 6x2, 14-speed transmission with, unusually for me, I've got a low bed to haul today. 4-axle with a excavator on the back. Now this is over wide, but it's not massively over. It's less than the mirror, so really speaking, probably get away without using the beacons. But she is long, she is heavy. So I think I will put the beacons on this trip. Although I don't think they would actually be needed, because she's not, strictly speaking, oversize. Right. We are going to Reykjavik in Iceland. The ramps are up, the chains are on, they've been checked, double checked, and now to get out of here. Now roll in. Just going to go back that way a bit. Beacons are working. Can't actually see if they're working or not. Yep, they're working. Right. Go this way. Now we've got 2 ferries to catch, then that will take us to Iceland. It's a company boat. People know we're coming around the corner. Lock it into a gear and stick it in, say, second, That'll give me a little bit of traction, lift the axle up as well. Nice iceberg there. Yeah, I'm sitting here driving this, driving a Scania, drinking out of a mug with a DAF on the front. Ah, clever. As you can see. Now, so long as I keep it rolling at this steady speed, I should be alright. I'm doing about 30 kilometers per hour on the gravel. You know, nice steady speed, not too fast. We are carrying on our back is a Volvo rubber duck, 4-wheeled excavator. And this particular one, it's got a manipulator on the back of it. The one I've just delivered is a scrap picker. So it looks like obviously this machine's having to go back to where it came from. Because the one I picked up before was also from Iceland. So it looks like they sent up the wrong machine. It's like, oh bugger. So they send him this one back. I mean, it's got to cost Stein an absolute bloody fortune in shipping. Well, shipping up to these parts of the world ain't cheap. Yeah, as you can see, I mean, even in container port, there's no modern handling facilities here. It's about as basic as you can get up here. Now, strange fact about Longyearbyen. He's not permitted on here. Apparently it is illegal for cats to be on the island. Why? I don't know. Well, it's got something to do with protecting native bird species. Possibly. Well, there's our ferry. Our first of 2 ferries today. I suppose you gotta call them boat A and boat B. there we are. Welcome aboard the ferry. Okay, we have Bremsholmen to sail to. And then the next ferry will take us from there to Iceland. Reset the check-in. Serve your door. There we are. That's 26 hours. And that's 16 hours. Well, there's Aberdeen. Yeah, it's about right. So here we are about to arrive in Iceland, and yeah, here we are. So before we go anywhere, our beacon's on. Headlights on. Let me know we're moving, or at least about to move. Now this has already been cleared through customs, so we can just sail straight through. What's he looking over there for? Photographing the dogs. Strange guy. I'm going to put that axle down now for a bit. It will need to be lifted again later on in the trip, but right now we want it down. Keeps us within our weight limits. Oh, come on. Now, Iceland is in the middle of the North Atlantic, sits astride the mid-Atlantic ridge on the Iceland hotspot, which is a plume of magma rising up from the mantle. And you got two distinct climate zones. You've got the northern half of the island, which is very cold, and you've got the southern half of the island, which is kind of influenced by the Gulf Stream current. So you've got nice warm seawater on one side and frigid ocean, Arctic water on the other. And we are going to be going on the southerly half of the route for this short trip. traction here, so I'll just raise the axle and just keep on rolling. Keep it rolling. You see too many people whipping around on ice and suddenly find they get stuck. Yeah, because they end up facing their trailer. Which is never a good thing. Yeah, when that happens, things usually get bent. Bending things on a truck is never good. It's pretty expensive. Well, back to Iceland. You know, as a country, it does not have a large, full-scale standing army or standing air force. It has a self-defense force, and it has a coast guard. But that's it. That's really all it needs. You know, its importance is not necessarily military. You know, a massive army and tanks and infantry divisions and battalions and all the other paraphernalia that comes with a large government with a power projection foreign policy. But Iceland's importance within NATO is more of a strategic importance. Because any vessel that leaves Russia bound for the North Atlantic, whether it be a surface vessel or potentially a submarine, has to go past Iceland. Which is why Iceland is so important. It's also a major staging point during the Second World War for anti-submarine warfare operations against the Germans. Because there was a small area, the Iceland Gap, or the Mid-Atlantic Gap, where basically, if you were a captain of a German U-boat, that's where you'd go. Because the Allies, with their top cover, provided by Liberators, Catalinas, generally couldn't get you because you were out of the way. They did not have sufficient range to sit out here and loiter, despite the long range of the Catalina. And every convoy that comes from the United States had to come to this area. So it's in that area just south of Iceland where the vast majority of World War II marine shipwrecks lie. Because that's where most of them were sunk. I mean, the VLR Liberator helped to plug that gap. And it was out flying out of places such as Iceland. I got half a tank of fuel. So we will, might as well grab a bit of fuel here whilst we can. Fill it up. We'll get the attendant to fill it up. I'll put in probably about 400 litres, something like that, 300, 400 litres. Let's have a look. 400 litres, pretty much. 398.87 litres. 297 Icelandic krona. That's expensive fuel. That is seriously expensive fuel. Right. We've now fully fueled. There's a guy coming down here. Is he going to? Like hell he is. Come on. And that is also as well with Iceland, it's a strategic place. It's also got other strategic importance. During the 1980s, you had Mikhail Gorbachev and Ronald Reagan, a Hollywood actor turned President of the United States. Well, he and Gorby, saw the dangers of nuclear weapons. Neither one side wanted to be annihilated by the other. And the relationship between the Soviet Union under Gorbachev and the West did, under him, it did thaw slightly. Although since the current guy, Vladimir Putin, came to power, they kind of turned the temperature down a bit and sent it back into the freezer. With the current crisis in Ukraine, it's really cold. Very, very frosty relationship. But during the time of Gorbachev and Reagan, and Gorbachev and Bush, I think it was as well. Or it might have been Yeltsin and Bush. There were treaty talks. It's called SALT. Yeah, the military loves its acronyms, but SALT standing for Strategic Arms Limitation Treaty. There was SALT 1 and SALT 2. The talks for one of the SALTs, I think, well, maybe both of them, were actually held in Reykjavik. And I think part of that helped to reduce the threat. I would like to think it helped reduce the threat posed by Russia to the West and America to Russia. The perceived threat. Because both have got nuclear weapons and both have got enough warheads to blow each other and everybody else on this planet to kingdom come. And they knew that something had to be done, which is why they brought about salt. A little bit of retard run, just hold my speed back, don't need much. But once I'm on the hard ground, for now I'll put the tag axle back down because I don't really need it, and it does, having it up does reduce the steering on the effectiveness because the truck's rocking backwards. But Iceland is also known for its tourism, it's also known for its geology. It's a very geologically active country. I mean, whereas Great Britain and America and Europe owe their existence to the breakup of Pangaea. And if you look at a world map, you will see where all the countries would fit together. You know, the United States and South America fit just nicely onto Africa and Europe. And Australia fits in somewhere else, and Antarctica fits on the bottom. But Iceland doesn't fit into that picture. And that is because 2 million years ago, the place didn't exist. It was on the bottom of the ocean. You know, humans hadn't walked the planet, but then Iceland gradually grew. And all this rock either side is what Iceland's known for. It's basalt. Very hard volcanic rock. And where we are now, we're on the, I think it's the eastern volcanic zone. Over to our right, You have several subglacial volcanoes. Grimsvötn is one, Askja is another. It's a bit more inland, I think Askja is. Barnabunga is another one. And up towards the top end of the island you've got Krapla, or Krafla as it's spelt. And moving a bit further west, you have the southern volcanic zone. Which gives rise to Katla, and I'm gonna attempt to pronounce this, but it's Eyjafjallajökull. Yeah, fuck it, I can't. It's one of those, to the average Westerner, an unpronounceable name. Over there. I need the road. And those two volcanoes are, like quite a few of Iceland's, subglacial. Which is why they are so explosive. Now, moving on a bit further west, you have the Reykjavik Peninsula. And you've got the Galdingadir Meridalia complex, which erupted last year and erupted again this year. And the last time that erupted was about 8,000 years ago. So it's entering a new phase of activity. So it looks like the mid-Atlantic ridge is moved slightly and opened up a bit. But Iceland, because of its rather unique geology, doesn't have any motorways, getting on the population, doesn't have any railways. You just got the main ring road, which was quite interestingly and quite intelligible, Road 1. So with all this volcanic activity and earthquakes as well are quite common here, it kind of makes putting the locals didn't really want nuclear power. I mean, the Japanese live with nuclear power in earthquake zones, but I personally think that is kind of tickling the dragon's tail. Well, they found that out in Fukushima. Well, why bother with expensive nuclear tech when you've got a very, very cheap, very, very readily available source of power? Geothermal steam. As a result, most of Iceland's energy, as far as I'm aware, I might be wrong with this, is made from renewable sources. Yes, they have diesel generators, but they also have a lot of geothermal. If it's there, you may as well use it. It's free after all. We are struggling a bit, so I need to kick it into manual mode and manually trigger a downshift. We're about a third of the way around the island now, I reckon. Well, there's Vic just ahead of us. Hofen down there, and we go this way. Now, a little bit about my trailer. It's an SCS lowboy, not a mod. The only mod on this game at the moment, apart from accessories, is this lovely RJL Scania. With got a beacon mod, chin spoiler mod, bull bar mod, and obviously a skin. But the trailer itself is generic content with a slightly altered definitions file, because I didn't like how the axles were set up. Four wheels, I think you'd want it all axles steering to remove tyres, so it's exactly what I did. I found the definitions file and made a wee change to it. And now it follows pretty well. follows like a very obedient puppy. So how do you get to Iceland? Well, obviously you've got the airport, but if you're driving and you want to take a car, you can. There's a ferry service that leaves Hirtshals in Denmark every couple of days, and it's a 48-hour crossing, I think it is. It takes about 2 days. The ferry is called the Norrona. It's pretty big. It has been featured on a YouTube video by a guy called MS Marine Diesel. So the route I actually took to get here, down from Longyearbyen to Norway, then down to another ferry from Norway to Seyðisfjörður, doesn't actually exist. You would in reality have to drive from Kirkenes or wherever the ferry from Longyearbyen landed, all the way down to Denmark, which would be about a 4-day drive at least. And then you'd have to sail over here and get on the road. So that's really the only way you can drive here. I mean, yeah, you can fly here as well. Regular operators fly into Keflavik all the time. EasyJet, Pan Am, used to, I probably would have thought, before they went under. Delta Airlines, Transworld Airlines when they were operating. Yeah. British Airways, and obviously Iceland Air. Nowadays probably Ryanair, EasyJet, Delta, SAS, which is the Scandinavian airline system, Finnair, Air France. So even though the islands are like at the end of the supply chain, which is why things are so expensive in Iceland, I would have thought, it's accessible. Oh, God, I've got a caravan behind me. What the hell's he doing there? So, as we stand now, I'll bring up my, what's it? We've got 480 kilometers to go. Narrow bridge. Flows over a glacial river. And soon we'll be approaching the southern lava fields. A big, featureless, flat expanse of Iceland. Retarder off a bit. Don't need it on now. Another one of the various bridges over the glacial river outflow. These sometimes get washed away when some of the subglacial volcanoes have a yokel cap. Now here we go. It's a bit of sightseeing. Here we have a small runway. And quite a crosswind. Well, what I brought you here for is from this sign. This is typical of pro mods. Accuracy. And yes, you have volcano flights. Because over there is Aviatikul and Katla in this area. Probably just a 10-15 minute flight away by a plane such as that Cessna Caravan over behind us. Skoda. We've got the Sellenfoss waterfall behind us. Yeah, I'm surprised they haven't put marker beacons on here, marking people out so that they don't straight onto the runway when the plane's coming into land. Well, where we are now, we are basically on, this is a massive lava field from eruptions from long time ago. And somewhere over there, I'm not sure if Pro Mods have put it in, there's the remains of a DC-3, bit of an iconic photo for people who've stood in front of it. That basically, I'm not sure if it had technical difficulties or simply ran out of fuel, and it just landed out there and has been there ever since. They weren't able to get it off, so they just left it there. But if you go that way and keep on going, you will meet no land until you get to about 70 degrees south. But you'll miss the Azores, you'll miss Ascension, and the next bit of land you'll meet will be at the Antarctic. Yes, Iceland is literally in the middle of nowhere. Yes, it's a country, even though it's in the middle of nowhere, that was being populated by the Vikings. It's a country with quite a culture. But the entire island at the moment is on volcano watch in several places. Because I think it's 3 of the volcanoes are showing signs of uplift. So they could erupt in the near future, but it might simply just be the volcano just breathing. Inflation here, that'll settle back down, then it'll build up again, it'll settle back down again. As magma under pressure rises and falls. Not long to go now. Here's a stretch out. Yes, as I'm recording this video, it's gone midnight. I've been up since about 8 o'clock this morning. So I will actually be going to bed shortly once I've done this video. But we've now passed the main volcanic field of what I think is the southern volcanic region. And now we're like going around some of the coastal hills. It will drop back down again as we approach the western volcanic region. Our retarder is doing a really fantastic job of holding us back. In fact, I don't even need the engine brake, it's holding us back quite nicely actually. Well, we know on the we've crossed over the continental divide of the island, so that's always a good thing. Now, Vestmannia, over there, takes over to a ferry for an island. Actually, no, I think Vestmannia is on the island, actually, tell a lie. And in the 1970s, they had an eruption at a town called Hami, which is a large fissure eruption. That threatened to choke off the harbour entrance. So with high pressure pumps to cool the lava, they actually managed to divert the lava flow. By just cooling the frontal face of the lava, it can't then advance, so the only place it can go is sideways. So lava's a fluid, it's a liquid. And when it's trying to flow, like water, it will always take the path of least resistance. So if you completely cause the lava ahead of it to solidify, you put a big wall up. Well, the only way it can go then is sideways. And that's exactly what it did. And Icelanders, they've got form for this kind of thing. Now, getting closer to Reykjavik. And the quarry, we are... Oh, wrong one. I wanted F3, not F4. 144 k's away from the drop point. Closed. Ah, the rock band's closed. Bugger. Quarry complex there. Probably part of the same quarry. Now, each one of these hills in front of us, over there, is a volcanic peak. Whether it's active or not, nobody really knows. Because as Meridalia proved last year, you can never can tell. They've had all these earthquakes and thinking, yeah, something may be happening, and it erupted in the middle of nowhere. After 8,000 years of inactivity. So if you can do that, it can certainly crack off in any of the volcanic peaks. Whether it will, nobody knows. Leaving the town, we're still beyond. Running along the coast for a bit now. Yeah, well, soon we'll start to see Keflavik on the map. Certainly showing up on the long range map anyway. That's a good sign. Yes, just now starting to appear on the GPS is our drop point, which is a good thing. We're almost there. And this is the town of Keflavik. Here we are. Journey's end. I'm getting very tired, so I'm going to go to bed once I've filmed this stop this video. Now, bearing in mind, I am going to get a JCB off the back. Well, it's actually a Volvo. It's still a bloody digger, so it's a JCB. So, we don't park that. We need to park there so they can get to the back of it. Yeah, here in the UK, if it's an MF, a Volvo, a Daewoo, maybe it's a digger of any description, is generally referred to as a JCB. That is the power of a brand. Oh, in reverse. Come on, babe. And it's gone green, and I know we're going through it, but it needs to straighten up now. And pull forwards. There we are. Brakes on. Engine off. Beacons off. Unload. 965 kilometers, and that's in the bag. Right, that is it. End of the video. Bye bye.